So I just saw the Tomorrow War and it was very bad. Nothing made any sense, and I will talk thoroughly about how nothing made any sense, but first I want to communicate that even if we ignore the film's nonsensical plot, it is certainly no masterpiece. The special effects on this film are very fake and unconvincing. Every setting feels like a movie set, every creature feels like a computer, and this makes it very difficult to experience any emotions. When a movie writes a scene to have a character fighting aliens, theoretically the goal of that scene should be to have the audience believe that there is a character who is fighting aliens. But that never happened, and it just felt like an actor LARPing around with a piece of plastic going, haha, I have infinite ammo, ch-ch-chow chow, pew 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 pew. When the future people interrupt the football match that Chris Pratt and his family are watching during a Christmas party, they react in ways that would imply that the characters believe what's happening on screen, but it looks so bad that it's difficult to believe that any character would actually believe that's happening. Why are you concerned, Chris Pratt? This is very clearly a digital effect. I guess the character's crazy. Even the practical effects looked really bad. One of the characters had a stupid thing on her face, and I was like, what's that? Are they gonna explain what that is? Apparently it was just supposed to be a scar. I was convinced that they were going to explain what that stupid thing on her face was before the end of the movie, and then the movie ended and they never explained it, so I guess it was just supposed to be a normal scar on her face or some shit. What's the budget on this again? Oh, $200 million. That's cool. It's a lot of money for a movie that looks like shit. Let's just throw as many helicopters into the background of this scene as possible. What are they doing? Where are they going? I don't know. They're helicopters. Look at it. See, it's a whirlybird. Woo!
I love the way they sound.
At least they got Chris Pratt, am I right? His performance was boring and inconsistent. There are scenes in this movie where his performance is nothing short of awkward. There was no humor to the character, so he was unable to do what he does best. He was basically just Brad Pitt's character in World War Z, wherein any traits or personality are just replaced by the fact that he loves his family. I'm just a man who has a wife, and there's a tiny person that came out of the wife, and I kiss him. Wow, he's so relatable because he loves his daughter so much.
I was trying to save my daughter. If I gotta save the world to save her, then I'm damn sure gonna do it.
What a noble, good, and unselfish family man. He likes to save his daughter. If he was just trying to save every other single person on the planet, then I'm not sure I would have related to that at all. Why, yes, I am a caveman. How did you know? The directing of this movie was really unspecial and had no personality. The lighting and cinematography were very bland. Occasionally, there would be one shot that you know they thought looked super cool, but it looked so lame. Oh no, she's falling into a computer. Help. Better go after her and risk my own life, and therefore risk the only chance at saving her because I'm just about to go back in time in like 2 seconds anyway. Why would you want to risk that, Chris? I guess that doesn't matter because this supposedly looks cool or something. The pacing and runtime of this movie is also exhausting. I have no fucking clue why it's 2 hours and 18 minutes long. If you ask me, it felt more like 2 years and 18 years long. Got him. Seriously though, they waste so much time in this movie. About 40 minutes in, all I could think was, show me some fucking aliens. This isn't complicated. Stop blueballing us. What are you doing? When you spend so long on the plot and exposition, you are putting a certain level of importance on the plot and exposition. If you want there to be people who enjoy this as just some sort of dumb action movie and the plot's not important and you're not supposed to think about it, then you wouldn't make something that spends so much time on the plot and exposition, because clearly by doing that you are telling us that it is important and you are supposed to think about it, right? Alright, spoilers from here on out. I'm talking about the plot now. So the concept of this movie is just awful. There's an alien species that has invaded planet Earth in the future, and they're totes kicking everybody's ass, so the future people invented a time machine, and with that time machine, the future people go back into the past to collect people to go to the future to fight the war. That's right, they are not using the time machine to prevent the future war from going as terribly as it already is. They are using the time machine to essentially just throw more bodies at the enemy. What? They go back into the past and they scan you to make sure that you're a person they can throw into the future, because they can only throw people into the future if they were gonna die between now and then anyway, so that they wouldn't create a time paradox. Good news, Chris Pratt, you're already dead in the future, so you can go. Also, you you are the most insignificant person on the planet and did not change anything throughout your entire rest of your existence. Yep, no paradoxes here. This movie makes perfect sense now. You did it. The only time travel movies that really work for me are the ones that create consistent, never-ending loops that service and justify themselves. Like, you can't go back into the past and change it, because if you do, then you never would have, right? This happens in almost every single time travel movie ever, so it's not a huge deal to me, but I'm mentioning it here because this movie seems to think that it is paradox-free.
You're thinking that in order for the time jump to occur, we have to be dead in the time we're jumping to. I mean, I imagine it's to avoid some sort of paradox.
Like, what's the point of accounting for some paradoxes but not others? Clearly you think time paradoxes are worth trying to rectify and explain in a script, otherwise we wouldn't have had this scene, right? This movie is actively deciding not to be a dumb, fun, turn-your-brain-off action movie. It is insisting that we pay attention to and think about the time travel mechanics that don't make any fucking sense. It's like the entire point of this scene where they're being taught by these people from R-Force. That's not a joke. They actually call themselves R-Force in this movie.
Excuse me? Why don't we just jump back to earlier in the war?
Time only flows in one direction. Now, we can jump back and forth between them, but both rafts will always keep moving forward.
They wrote a scene into the movie where a bunch of characters are sitting in a room asking questions that they think the audience might be asking. Some of these answers I can handle, and others are infuriating.
Why can't we just build more rafts? The jump link tech is held together with chewing gum and chicken wire.
We can't build another one in the past because the one that we're using is already held together with chewing gum and chicken wire, they say. But wouldn't you have more time to figure it out if you did? You'd have another 30 years to make it not held together with chewing gum and chicken wire. It is absolutely infuriating that this movie wastes time making excuses that aren't even excuses. If you have a functional time machine, your options are not that limited. Take the blueprints and technology that you used to create the first one and go back in time and use the same blueprints and technology to create another one. Why is there no one in this room asking that question? I don't feel very represented here. Even if they wanted to say that they used 100% of a very finite resource to make the time machine, and if they built it in the past, then they could never build it in the future, that wouldn't be a real excuse either, because at the end of the movie, Chris Pratt kills the aliens, and that's in the past when he does it, so there's no reason why anyone in the future would build the time machine to make him go to the future and then back the past, so he wouldn't have done that. You get it? Also, was the entire concept of this movie just built around this stupid twist that the aliens were here the whole time, but they were frozen in a ship and didn't get thawed out until later? Because otherwise, you could just have a movie where people have to fight aliens that invade planet Earth. Without that twist, the time travel aspect doesn't service anything. You could just set the movie in the future. Why not? Apparently, it really adds to the story to have the future people go back in time and recruit a bunch of Facebook moms to fight off the aliens. All of humanity's greatest efforts led you to creating this time machine, and this is what you do with it? They didn't even train them on what the enemy looks like. The film was so committed to not letting the audience know what the aliens looked like until almost an hour through the film that the characters never saw what they looked like either.
Throats and abdomens. That's what you aim for.
Why are you shooting at human-like targets when the aliens you're training people to know how to fight don't look like that? Yeah, shoot at their throats and abdomens. This target will really help you out with that. You couldn't just cut a piece of cardboard or something? Maybe show them one picture of what they look like? Apparently it's not in the military budget. They are standing on the platform about to be teleported into the future when Chris Pratt shows the guy next to him where the safety on his gun is. Why? You're just giving them food! And then just as they're getting teleported, the people at the computers say, uh-oh, there's a malfunction, oopsie. And instead of getting teleported right above the ground, they get teleported too far above the ground. Oh no. Good thing Chris Pratt landed in this pool, as though that would make any difference at that height. Meanwhile, the guy in the red shirt has done like 2 or 3 tours already, and he just keeps getting teleported back and forth, and he's basically an expert at killing these things.
Well, could have done without seeing that.
Well, if you think this is bad, you don't want to see what happens next.
Why are you being purposefully vague to them? Why would you not want to warn people who are in your squad about the future dangers? He's just being super ominous for the dramatic effect of the audience, I guess. So they go to a lab to recover the ampules because the scientists died, and the lady on the earpiece is like, yo, the white spikes, yeah, they're called white spikes. They over overrun everything. We're gonna carpet bomb you now. Sorry. Just to add in a bunch of fake and forced tension out of nowhere. So these characters have 5 minutes to escape the building, and as soon as they enter the stairwell, they're all of a sudden really cautious and slow. Like, you got here without ever going that slow, and suddenly the movie's like, no, it's tension time. Sorry. What about this stairwell is different than everywhere else you've been up until this point? No, you see, because the loud action music was in those other scenes, so they were moving fast, and then they cut that, so now it's all quiet and it's suspense time now. You see, the movie told us it's suspense time, so it's happening now. Nothing feels natural or earned. The only reason anything happens is because it's on the checklist for the movie, and fuck you if you were expecting some sort of justification for it. So at the end of the movie, they find out that the aliens were here the whole time and they were just frozen, so him and J.K. Simmons, who was the only good performance in the movie, decide to go there and kick the aliens' butts personally. And when they find the ship, they once again give a lame-ass excuse as to why these characters need to be the ones to do it, and right now also.
Absolutely. Go tell the UN and they can talk about it till we're all dead.
Yep, not telling anybody about this and just going in there guns blazing is totally justified, I guess. So they use the toxin that they brought back from the future, and it is being used for the very first time, and it works. But then they accidentally wake up some of the other ones, so they gotta blow them up, and Chris Pratt goes, woo, I'm jumping away from an explosion in slow motion. This is a really cool shot, apparently. Uh-oh, one of them's still alive, and it's the female, and she's gonna lay eggs, and this bad stuff gonna happen if you don't kill her. So they get to have a fight scene where Chris Pratt is with his dad, and they both get to fight it. It is a very clunky fight scene that is stupid and silly. The alien shoots Chris Pratt's gun out of his hand. Chris Pratt also makes a bunch of unintentionally hilarious facial expressions in this scene. Anyway, J.K. Simmons nobly sacrifices himself for his son and draws the monster's attention towards him, and Chris Pratt's like, no! And he's able to jump on top of the monster within 2 seconds of laying on his back, but it was all off screen, so I guess he's just Sonic or something, I don't know. Anyway, Chris Pratt had an extra toxin in his pocket, and he feeds it to the monster and makes it chomp down on it, and then he pushes them off a cliff, and then it explodes. The end. Actually, it's not the end. We haven't told you enough times that he loves his family.
She changed me forever. I'm never gonna leave her. I'll never leave this family.
This is a movie that I did not like very much. It was exhausting. Once again, even if you ignore the terrible plot, it's still not a great movie. It's way too long, it's manipulative, it's forced, it's cookie cutter and generic, the music sucks. Chris Pratt's acting wasn't very good, the whole thing just felt super fake. You figure it out, I'm done. And I'm giving this one a 2 out of 10. Blech.
Yeah.
I have to do ketchup to the bush, not to the...
Ketchup to the bush is the ugliest euphemism for menstruation I've ever heard. Yeah, she's being a real bitch today. She's probably got some ketchup to the bush.